Good day to you, my fellow endoskeletons. I'm Kenetor, and welcome back for another Starbase progress report. We're on week 35 of 2021, and if you're new here, I bring you the latest news and updates of everything Starbase every Monday. So make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss out. Now let's get to it. Only a minor patch for Starbase last week, but it finally brought in some updated ships for the ship shops, with notable popular ships being the Tryphon and of course my Buffalo design. Most of the other changes were just bug fixes, and one unpublished change I've seen a few people commenting on. It would seem there's been a change in the flight calculation, and we are now seeing ships reach higher speeds and having fewer issues in the ship balancing its own thrust. I even tested this myself with the transponder trick and noticed the Buffalo has gained 10 meters per second and is now topping out at about 134 meters a second empty. But please devs, let us have a speed readout in ships via either a new device or FCU. Please! It would just make this process so much easier. Another week and another Frozen Byte announcement. This week saw the promised update to the roadmap. This mostly details the knock-on effects from fixing a lot of launch bugs, with major features being pushed back. Although nothing has been taken off the roadmap for this year. Just remember, the roadmap is a goal they are working towards, not a promise or a guarantee. So it looks like the moon mining feature and capital ships, due for August originally, have been pushed back to the end of September and sometime in October respectively. And the social tours for companies and Station Siege has also been pushed back to October and November. It remains to be seen if other features will be delayed, as these features should be being worked on by other groups in the development team. Diving into our Lowry quotes of the week, I want to kick off with a bit of Starbase timeline from Lowry. He says the first employee working full-time on the project with him started in 2014. Jump forward to spring 2019 and we had our first announcement trailer. We closed down for starting a year later in spring of 2020, and now we're here in early access, with Lowry saying there's at least 2 years and maybe more to get the game to a 1.0 status. This should give everyone an idea on just how much the devs have planned for this game. It's going to look completely different year after year as new systems come online and things are refined to a more finished and bug-free state. Lowry finishes by saying 2024 sounds fitting for 1.0. Game development takes a lot of time, and pretty much all the features people want are coming at some point. With the community talking about third-party tools and the wish for an API, Lowry chimed in that they can't give out a list of third-party methods since there are already 100 smartasses trying to find some typos in the terms of service which somehow allow them to use actual hacks and cheats. And they don't have time for this kindergarten level crap. But actual bans are handed out for a reason. They don't just give accurate lists of do's and don'ts. It would seem people are getting pretty petty trying to find BS ways to cheat the game and Frozen Byte rules for managing it. This is exemplified by some idiot somewhere apparently taking them to the European Human Rights Court, since they have no right to ban them for cheating and so forth. Like, good grief people, that's god tier petty behaviour right there. Not to mention a complete waste of time for the devs to deal with, and the legal system, which will no doubt throw this case straight into the recycling bin. Larry continues, cheaters always post sad stories about how unfair treatment they got, and some people believe those stories. And then suddenly there's a movement being based on complete lies. But Larry says they do look into some appeals, and it's possible some bans will be lifted. But the majority of banned people were very clear-cut hackers and have zero chances of getting unbanned ever. If you think you've been caught by a ban that really shouldn't apply to you, remember you can email community@frozenbyte.com and state your case there. The devs know they are not infallible, and I have seen them overturn an incorrect ban before. And remember, the devs can see a lot more information than you know, and they can spot a liar a mile away. Moving on to something a bit more positive, Lowry answers again about the company ships feature, saying the company features will roll out as soon as they are done, with company ships for example should be pretty close now. Another bit of good news that the station cap will most likely be increased at latest when Siege comes, and also separate limits may be introduced with moon bases. And they will also give a brief glimpse of upcoming hotspots in this week's progress notes, so stay tuned for that in a bit. Another strongly talked about subject is furnaces. With the upcoming capital ships needing alloys, we will need a way to make them. Larry says furnaces will come in 3 types: anywhere to be used, furnaces that require certain atmo or cloud to be present, and furnaces which need to be far away from everything. And furnaces will come at the latest the same time as capitals. Well, that's some tasty new info there. We knew we would be getting at least 2 furnaces, a normal one and one for gas. But one that has to be far away, that's definitely new. And I've got no idea why it would need to be that way, but I'm sure we'll find out in good time. And the fact that it's coming, or at least the beginnings of it, will come with capital ships is great news indeed, because not only will cap ships need it, it will open up possibly new armor types too. So for all those complaining about the armor being like paper, pay close attention to the next month or so. Our last quote for today is Larry answering the community question of what are the hardest challenges of implementing moon mining that Frozenbyte have had so far. And of course Larry's reply is eye-opening as always. He says all areas have their own challenges. Currently server is still under work and ores need spawn logic and such, but all that is progressing really well. He would guess the hardest part is when players come in and break everything in a not intended way. On a general note, having a, well, moon-sized moon with free digging for unlimited player amount and all of that preferably smooth and cheater secure has some challenges. And that's something I've covered before in a different Larry quote. These moons are indeed real world size, maybe on the small side, but they are real size nonetheless. Larry continues the server needs to approve all mining, ore gains, and also watch for no dig zones such as moon base foundations. Moon mining will bring all the missing ores on the table, and the rarest ones won't be a walk in the park or just macro mining. One thing to note here is also that he doesn't mean all the missing ores will be on one moon either. As they finish the other moons, different ores will be found on the different moons, which Larry continues here. He thinks they will enable those a bit later than the first moon, or at the same time. Just need to figure out what's their purpose in the world. Most moons will introduce some new ores, moon by moon. It will be exciting to see what all these new materials give us. We know at least one of them is Xalium, but what sort of other alloys will be possible in the future? Well, whatever they are, I'll be sure to bring you the info as soon as I find out. We got some great gallery images this week and some even more amazing short videos from Frozenbyte, so stay tuned for that too. Our first image is of a mock-up of a highly requested feature, to save the current state of a ship to its blueprint. Now we don't know if there's any restriction on saving non-easy build mode ships or shop purchase ships, but this will no doubt be handy. The example here is on the Labourer, and there is more info in the progress notes to come for all these pictures. Our second picture is a view from orbit over a moon with a brand new surface feature, humongous impact craters. And as you will see from our third image, these are just as impressive up close. Just imagine coming down and landing in or next to one of these impressive features. These are going to be hot on the top of everyone's list to build bases near, I can tell you that. Our last image this week is another mock-up for ship repair, showing the cost in restoring the ship state to one of the saves the ship has. This again is a much requested feature that will end up being in a hall of its own for repairing your ships. We have yet another change once again for the progress notes. I'm sorry guys, it's not me, it's the devs. But this time we're back to our coloured dots for progress on features again, and this week is also once again all about new features. Our first section is for in-game shipbuilding from blueprints, and we have the blueprint projector. This will cast the blueprint for manufacturing or just for fun, and will pull parts near it automatically and place them in the ship. With only code left to finish, this should come sooner than you think. Saving blueprints to blueprint chips is next, and we have discussed the various types of chips before. The system is complete and ready to go. Hopefully this doesn't get held back with the rest of the stuff, since people are already trading blueprints and this would make it a hell of a lot easier. Casting with a blueprint chip. So one of the uses is to put the chip directly in the blueprint caster itself, and this part of the process is also fully complete. Attaching the filled parts. This process is still in progress for coding and will automatically weld or bolt parts to the ship it's attaching it to. And I know many of you and myself are hoping that this uses the blueprint bolts and not auto bolt. Auto bolt can be somewhat lacking at the best of times. Offers ugly bolt placement, as well as some components still needing their bolt profiles updated. I'm looking at you, tier 2 thrusters. Our next section is on the ship repair shop system. This involves in-game blueprint saving, just like we saw in the mock-up, and will let you store different versions of the ship as you edit it, which can be used later to repair the ship, including your edits to it. Now sadly this is only design and art complete and coding has not yet been started. And that goes for the ship repair shop too. Also hasn't started its coding yet, but as shown in the example gallery image, this will again restore your ship to an earlier version for the cost of credits, ore, and parts. Player station expansion is definitely something a lot of us expected to be in at launch, but with the whole system being changed at the last minute to the much hated easy build mode, this feature has had to be started nearly from scratch it seems. We have 2 areas for this being worked on, and first up is the station build area expansion itself. This will be enabled once you fill up a certain amount of area, and thankfully this is design and art complete, and coding is currently in progress. This must be close to, since I've seen Lowry claim he's made a station with 2 zones in the dev build. I do have some questions on this expansion though. Is it permanent? If you decide to redesign your station, will this area be lost or blocked? What sort of percentage of the previous area needs to be filled, and does it take the total area of the entire station or each individual block? Hopefully I'll have answers to this and more in the coming weeks. And then we have the station expansion visualization part. This will be the UI elements in game on how to let the player know when they can do it and how the new area will be selected. And we will see this in action at the end of this video. Our last main section this week is craters on the moon. As shown by the gallery, the moon craters themselves are complete and working in game and look fantastic. Hats off to the concept and artist teams that implemented these. That's some great work there. And lastly, the main reason for the craters is revealed to us. They will become mining hotspots. Whatever caused these craters has deposited most likely rare or higher concentrations of ore. People will flock to these and try to get the ore for themselves, and others will use them as a target for piracy or griefing. Now this feature isn't yet complete, but it does only have the coding left to finish up. And there you have it, a bit of a short one this week, but we're not done yet as we have not just 1 but 2 videos from Frozen Byte of 2 of these new features in action. First up we have the blueprint projector. This takes a blueprint chip as shown earlier, which can show any old rubbish. In this case it's the quite useless but much loved original Versama. You can see here there are various parts being pulled into the blueprint from the space around it. Also note this is taking place inside of a station's factory area, so these will finally have another use soon. But don't worry if you don't have the parts, you can of course fill this blueprint with the build tool as well, I would guess. However, this isn't shown here and would probably be a much slower process. The second video is a nice short one showing a moon station that has sufficient mass to allow claiming of another area. The player moves outside the current easy build zone and another is highlighted next to it a moment later, with the option to claim this expansion. I'd love to see you all chat some more about this week's update over on my Discord, there'll be a link for that below, and don't forget you can send any funny or awesome clips and recordings my way for a chance to be featured on the channel. As always, please smash that like button, share this video with your friends and faction, leave a comment with any questions you want answers to, and I'll see you in the next one. Kenetor, out.